Welcome to another episode of Middle Ground with JLE, L.L.C, where we treat you like family. We got another amazing guest for you today. We have the copywriter, hostess of Editor Knows Best podcast, CEO, editor-in-chief of Love for Words, developmental editor, CaTyra Polland, MA, if I said it right.
Yes.
There we go. Welcome to the
show. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I forgot. That's the theme song, JLE Detroit Love, from my first album, the JLE Experience. I own the copyright. Wow. Don't mute it. Facebook. There we go. Okay, let's get after it. First question. What led you to this path?
Yeah, so I started writing when I was in middle school. I've always enjoyed reading and writing. I was a part of sorry about my lights. I was a part of I used to participate in the Book It program by Pizza Hut, where you would get the free pizza pan when you read a certain number of books over the summer. So I did that, really enjoyed that, kept doing that every year. And then in middle school, I entered into a poetry contest. Wow. And I actually received an honorable mention. So that really, sparked the light bulb for me, and I continued to write from there. But fast forward to 2017 when I launched Love for Words. There's a friend of mine who's a publisher, and she was looking for an editor. And I did a sample edit for her, and she really liked it, and she started referring me to her publishing clients. So I was getting a steady stream of clients from her, and then I decided to go ahead and launch my editing boutique and continue to help. Primarily, I work with Black authors and helping them share their stories with the world and journey through the self-publishing process.
Okay. Now, how did you arrive at Love for Words as the title?
Well, it's something that just, came to mind. I've always, again, enjoyed reading and writing. So, I knew that I had a love for words, and I felt that would be a catchy business name. So I decided to just go with that. I checked to see if the name was available, and then
you gotta do that.
And registered it.
Gotta do that.
Right.
Yeah, I checked out the website. You look like a boss sitting at the table. Like, okay, you're doing it. I feel it. Now, what is a developmental editor and the responsibilities of that?
Right. So the developmental editor is really there for like the big picture elements of the manuscript. So making sure that the manuscript is descriptive. So if the author makes a statement, it is giving information to the readers. So you don't want to just introduce something and then not give proof of it or background to what it is. You don't want to leave your readers hanging. So one of the things that the editor does is poses questions like, is this what you meant? This isn't clear. Maybe you could say it a different way. Or the developmental editor might give you a suggestion. So it's really a balance between posing questions, making suggestions and recommendations. For as far as the fiction developmental editing, you really focus on like the characters. So making sure like your characters have the same traits throughout the book, like their eye color didn't change halfway through the book, or the spelling of their name didn't change. Or making sure like you don't have one reveal in two places. So if you said that, they had a gender reveal and it was a boy in chapter 7 and you say it again in chapter 12, the developmental editor will bring that to your attention and ask you to choose which chapter you want to keep it in. So we're really there to make sure everything is cohesive, that it makes sense. And most importantly, it resonates with your target market. So if you're writing for today's 13-year-old, you don't want to use language from like the 70s or a time when they weren't around that they won't understand, unless you're, so just making sure you will connect to your readers and you won't lose them because you're not using language or references that work for whatever that target market is.
Yeah, you say jive turkey, and like, what is that?
Yeah.
Oh man. I thought the old 70s show you watch as a kid, like, that a kid, they see that like, they dressed like that. Like, they were cool when they did that. You just don't know.
Yeah, so making sure the author is relevant, you know, and connecting with their readers.
Okay, because I've written 2 inspirational books, but I've been working on a political thriller type book.
Okay,
And the
wow.
stuff, I'm like, okay, this. Oh yeah, once I actually get off my butt and finish it, that could be a movie. You know, gotta have some conspiracy stuff in there.
For sure. Definitely. That's exciting. I'm glad that you're embarking on that journey. It's not always easy, but it's definitely worth it.
Oh yeah, I never planned to write a book. I wrote one in 2000, a love story.
Okay.
More like, if I could have played football, won a Super Bowl, became an engineer, had a big time company, what would that story life be like? And I kept getting a virus. So I'm like, man, fuck this book right. I finally finished it years later just to finish it.
Yeah.
But like, man. And then I had 2 amazing guests, Chris Matan and Major Shepherd L last year. That were like, you should write a book, right? Don't do that.
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to be interviewing nobody. What you talking about, bro?
Hey.
God got me out like what I was gonna do. And it was kind of a cool experience to write those 2 books.
Yeah, it's an exciting experience, and I love being able to encourage you know, Black authors to go down that path. It's possible, and there are people there to support you. So don't let, you know, anything deter you if that's what your dream is.
Okay. Have you written the book yourself?
Yes. So I'm 9 times published. So I I've been in
your weekend. I ain't see that on there nowhere. Need to update your weekend. I ain't see that
it should be.
nowhere.
I'll have to double check that.
I go through like a fine comb, like she author, but she do author stuff. You tell me this wham, like, whoa.
I'll have to add that. Yeah, for sure. So yes, I've written books. My most recent publication was a book of poetry that I published in 2020. So I just touch on some different things that I've experienced and witnessed. Like one of the poems is called Mocha Chocolate, and it's like an ode to dark-skinned women and girls. You know, lifting them up in celebration because of colorism. Oftentimes, we struggle with that, you know, and self-esteem and being told that we're not beautiful or good enough, etc. So I wrote that poem just to show that we are, and just celebrate that, and you know, letting us know that we are appreciated and we're valued and we are beautiful. So that's just an example of one of the poems in there. So that was a therapeutic process for me, being able to write the book of poetry, just because it, you know, it touched on so many things that happened in my life. So for those of you who, you know, enjoy writing, poetry might be an option for you. I would encourage you to give it a shot. Even if you don't publish it, maybe you can just journal and that'll also be therapeutic for you. Yeah.
That's true, but I mean, you got to dare to be great. If you go through all that trouble, you got to publish it. Going out in the water, put your toe out there, and see what happens. It might shock you. Because the fact that a person can write anything and finish it is amazing and dope.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
There's a lot of people that want to do it but are hesitant because maybe someone said they shouldn't, or their own fears. Just start writing.
Yeah.
See where it takes. It's
I agree.
amazing. And after I did it, I'm like, man, you wrote that?
Yeah.
Got too vulnerable in the streets. But all your business out here.
Right. Yeah, it's very empowering. It's very empowering. And nobody can use that against you because you're the one putting it out there. So you have the control of, you know, what's being said and your narrative. So you don't have to worry about your perspective being skewed because it's coming from you.
Yeah. See, I've been mandated to be transparent by God, so I ain't got that luxury. And I'm hard-headed. So I get a lot of those. Come on, man, stick to the plan, bro. What you doing? Get in there. Don't help somebody. Like, all right. Now you have a interesting podcast, Editor Knows Best.
Yes.
When did you start that, and what's it all about?
Yes, I started that in 2020. I think it was March of 2020. So shortly after the pandemic really shut down the world. So that podcast I created as a platform for Black literary creatives to talk about their experiences, also share advice and recommendations for audience members who might want to travel down the path that they did or into the industry that they did. So I interview authors, other editors, publishers, poets, etc. And again, it's an opportunity for them to talk about their work and also, give insights to what it's like to be a creative in the self-publishing industry. The majority of my guests are Black, and again, it was a platform specifically for us to. It's kind of like a safe space, really, where we can talk about
Okay.
things that happen to us, and not feel like we have to be centered or that we're being judged for talking about our truth and being authentic about it. So that's what it's for. Just that platform and that opportunity. But I also have solo episodes where I talk about different elements of running a business. Excuse me. So sometimes I talk about pricing. Other times I might talk about how to select your team when you're growing your business. Sometimes I talk about lessons learned on my behalf, like how do you handle a client who ghosts you, or how do you respond to negative reviews from clients who've worked with you. So when I don't
Okay.
have a guest, those solo episodes really focus on the business side of what I do and lessons that I've learned in hopes of encouraging the listeners and giving them some insight um, and recommendations on how they can avoid what I've done and make it an easier path for themselves.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, what was your experience with your first book when you published it?
Yes. So my first book, Professionalism, what's that? I enjoyed working on that one. That one is really an overview of um, lessons that you should know or things you should know when you are in the workforce. So I
Okay.
talk about, appropriate work attire, phone etiquette, email etiquette, professional development, what opportunities exist and how you should present yourself in certain settings. So I enjoyed writing that book. I pulled on some of the experiences that I've had in the workforce, but also
Okay.
things that I've observed. And I know some people don't learn these things or some people forget these things. So I really created the book as like a 101 or a refresher for people who were, you know, an employee or even starting their own business. The lessons could still apply to entrepreneurs as well. But my favorite chapter of that book is actually the code switching chapter. And
Okay.
I define what it is, and I also talk about the pros, but more importantly, I talk about the cons of code switching, and how painful it can be and how detrimental it can be to be told that you can't wear your hair the way it grows from your head, or you have to go by a nickname because people aren't willing to learn how to pronounce your name,
Say what?
or right, right. So I mean,
Wow.
yeah, a lot of times when I introduce myself, people will ask for a nickname, and while
Wow.
that seems trivial, if you think about it on a deeper level, it's kind of like a message that CaTyra is not acceptable. So I need to call you
Yeah.
something else. And
I
even in
sounded
that
out.
case, yeah. And even like when people immigrants from other countries come to the United States, so many of them adopt Americanized names. So they'll come from China or Africa or whatever continent or country that they're from, and then all of a sudden they get here and they say, "Just call me Joe," or "Just call me Sue." And again, that's another way of stripping the person away from who they really are, in an attempt to assimilate. So I really point out the different ways that code switching exists, but paying attention to the negative impact of that. Because so often we're taught that code switching is the end all be all. And if you don't do it, you're not going to get the promotion, you're not going to be accepted, you're not going to be liked, etc. But we very well now we're talking about the cons of it. So I just wanted to make sure that people understood that it's not all good when it comes to code switching, and that there
Nah,
are very real impacts to the sacrifices that Black people make when they code switch, and the ripple effect it has on our entire lives. And it's also generational, and then we teach our kids these things and we kind of pass it down. But I want to see it I want to see that change so that people are accepted as they are and don't feel like they have to hide their accents. I know someone who was from Puerto Rico, and she actually took a class to unlearn her accent because she was teased about it. So when you think about that, it's like there are lots of cons that come with code switching that often get swept under the rug or ignored. So in that chapter, again, I do highlight, or not even highlight, I talk about the pros, but the chapter is really there to enlighten people about the cons of code switching. So yeah.
I can understand if a company saying, okay, you all tatted up, need to cover that up, but you shouldn't have to change the essence of you because you don't feel comfortable with, or you got to draw to your voice. So what? Can you
Right.
understand?
Right.
The
Exactly.
hair a little twisted. So what? Are they looking professional with the rest of the outfit?
Right.
Call it a day. Can they make you
Right.
some money for your company?
Mm-hmm.
Ain't that the bottom line?
Yeah.
Are they add or subtracting from the productivity
Mm-hmm.
of the if they ain't doing that, keep your stereotypes to yourself. That's
Right.
just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I never heard that in business classes of people talking about, well, yeah, you got to do this like that. That just sounds mind-boggling to hear. You got to
Mm-hmm.
come up with a nickname.
Mm-hmm.
Your name. Tell me something else. T. What?
Yeah. Right.
They're not an HR for
Well,
that.
yeah. Well, it's just a general, like, if not necessarily a class, but like there's and what's the word I'm looking for? There's an assumption that you're going to make it easier for your colleagues, and instead of them learning how to say your name, they'll just ask for a nickname. And again, it seems lighthearted, but if that's something you're encountering your entire life, it's not lighthearted. It chips away at you.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, I hope HR is paying attention to that in these companies. Like, no, that's not what we do. Because I learned all that. I remember I had a debate with my HR teacher
Mm-hmm.
about had to read some articles, and a person came up with a ride sharing company for women that they've been hanging out a little drunk, and it's women drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, some guy
Mm-hmm.
wanted to sue because it was discrimination. I'm like, that's a great business model. What are you talking about discrimination?
Yeah.
And he's like, come on, Joe, let's go back to nationality, origin, race. Be like, man, go on with that boy, Jay. This is America. We bought this bread. What are you talking about? That's a great idea to make money. You telling me this
Mm-hmm.
dude who got an attitude for whatever reason he can't work there?
Mm-hmm.
They got to switch their model. Like, come on, man,
Right.
really? You got other companies you can work for.
Right. Exactly.
We debated for a minute. I'm like, dude, this America, we capitalists. What do you? That's a great money making idea, and they got to switch
Mm-hmm.
because this guy got a problem. Like, come on, man, we doing too much. I'm not that much of a capitalist, but that's a great business idea.
Right. Yeah.
I learned a lot in those classes. Shocked that people ain't getting understood about nicknames, all that garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So, how can people find your podcast?
Yes. So you can visit anchor.fm/editor knows best, or you can just Google editor knows best and it'll bring it up on Spotify and Apple and some of the other podcast channels. So that would probably be the easiest way to find editor knows best.
So, I put that in the description. They can find your podcast. Got the
Mm-hmm.
website. Yeah, I'll put you down for your books too, so people know how to get that as well.
Mm-hmm.
You got another book in the pipeline you working on?
I'm working on my second book of poetry. So that will probably be released sometime next year.
Okay.
So I think I have about a dozen poems. So I'm working on that. Yeah, so it's going pretty well. I kind of write in spurts, so every once in a while I'll write, and I usually do like a bunch of poems, and then I step away and go back to it. So yes, that is in the works for sure. I'm excited about that. Right now, I'm actually I launched my internship program with Love for Words, so I have my very
Oh,
first
awesome.
intern. Yeah, my first.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My first intern, she started in July. So we're about 3 months in and it's going really well.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been able to help her on the journey. It's really humbling for me because I didn't I didn't advertise that I was looking for an intern. So she
Mhm.
emailed me and she asked me if she could intern with my company. She was saying she had been following me online for a few years and she's recently graduated and interested in editing. So that's how that came about. So for those of you who are wondering if people are watching, there are always people watching and you just never know when they're going to, approach you with an opportunity. Um, so don't stop promoting your business and don't stop showing up because there's always people who will need you.
Now, are you still looking for more, or you good with one?
I have one right now, so I'm good with one because I do still have editing projects as well. However, I had a second inquiry, so I spoke with
Okay.
her, and she'll be starting actually next month.
Okay.
So
Progress.
I
That
am,
girl.
yeah. So I'm
Going
gonna
up.
level that out for this year and hopefully pick up next year with another intern next summer. So yes,
Okay.
it's going really well. I'm learning a lot from her. And she shared that she's also learning a lot from me as well. So I'm just excited to be able to, pass the torch and encourage the next generation of Black editors to continue on a legacy, because I won't be editing forever. So I want to be able to, help other Black editors come up and we continue this journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody out there, be the hardest work in the room.
Hmm.
Try. She
Hmm.
reached out to her. Worst case, she says she's not looking. Try
Right.
again with someone else. Eventually,
Hmm.
somebody gonna say yes.
Right.
But you gotta try.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else you got going on in the pipeline? Want to talk about?
Um, I mean, I have a editing project coming up. So I'll be starting it actually in a few days or so. That is Actually, I'll have to take a look at it, but I just wrapped one up. So
Okay.
I had a little bit of downtime between these two projects, but I'll be starting that. I won't talk too much about that, but that is one thing that I'm working on. If anybody, any authors out there or anybody else in the self-publishing field, I am looking for guests for the podcast Editor Knows Best. So you can go to my website and sign up there, or find me on anchor.fm/editor knows best, and would love to have you on the show. So I welcome guests for that. And just, having the intern right now, but that's what I'm working on right now, just the editing and the podcast and the internship, which is plenty.
Now, you ever thought about doing a workshop?
Yeah, I've done some workshops. I actually working on a webinar. It's like a
Okay.
webinar to get people ready to write their books. Also, get them to establish when they know they're ready to write their books, and then connecting with me to help walk them through that process. So I handle the editing, but I have a
Mhm.
vast network, so I can also plug people in if they need a publisher or a formatter or an illustrator. So, once they're done with me, if they need those services, I can refer them. So, yeah, so that comes with the territory too, and working with clients and not just leaving them hanging when the editing is over, and supporting them if they need further guidance, depending on what else they need.
Okay. Now, you have a time frame when that webinar will be available?
The webinar will be available within the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be recording it. I have the script. I just have to go ahead and record it, and then my someone on my team will get it up on my website. So yes, you can look out for that by the end of this month. within the next few weeks. So any of you looking to write a book and you're not sure, the webinar will really touch on how to choose. The webinar really touches on how to choose your editor. So what to expect, what not to expect, what questions you should ask the editor, um, the genre you're interested in, making sure that editor either has experience or is interested in that genre. You don't want to expect perfection from your editor. It really just touches on the different ways you'll know when you found your perfect editor.
Okay.
It talks about sample edits and things like that. So it'll be ready in a few weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you're working on? Because I'm here to put you out here, baby. I'm gonna ask all type of questions. Make sure you get all of it out there. Let them know.
Yeah. So yeah, just the editing component. The other part of my business though is copywriting. So I do help businesses and professionals with the copywriting piece. So for example, people will come and they'll ask questions about a professional bio. So I do write professional bios that, of course,
Awesome.
showcase the talents and the experience that you have, and talk about your background, and why you're qualified. I've also done, copy for media kits. So, those are basically documents that, I don't want to say sell, they promote you to either podcasts, or like if you want to be featured in a magazine or things like that. The media kit or the press kit has, testimonials in it. It might have pictures of your products,
Okay.
or, things that prove that you are a professional in your field, or that you're vetted, that you have credentials, things like that. So that's another service that I do offer for those of you who need help with that. So yeah, I enjoy the copywriting side of it, and it's really about making sure that, again, the message is clear, that when somebody reads that professional bio or your media kit, it draws them in. So that's some of the other ways that I, help clients. I also work with organizations and companies. Like if they have a campaign, I have been on projects where I'm the copywriter and I give them ideas for their slogans, or I give them ideas
Okay.
for the copy on their websites, and ideas for, mission or vision statements. So that's the other part of, love for words. I mean,
There
it
you
all
go. Talk
ties
that
in.
stuff. Let them
Yeah,
know.
it all
Let them
it all
know.
ties in. Yeah. So I've done quite a few professional bios, and I just really love being able to encourage people. I know that a lot of people face hardships and they face adversity, and they are burdened and they feel like, the world is against them. But I want to be a part of, lightening the load, and letting people know that, even if you have struggles, that you can still achieve your dreams. And it might not be easy, but it can be done. So in my business and my volunteering and just my personal life, that's something that's very important to me, to be able to encourage other people. I've
We
been
volunteer at.
blessed. So I'm on the board. It's called the Anova Girls Academy. It's here in Rochester, New York. I'm born and raised here. Still live here. But basically, it is the first and only all girls academy, elementary school, that focuses on STEM. So we're looking to open our doors next year, but we really will be targeting, primarily, it'll be Black girls and Latinx girls, to help
Okay.
them build their confidence, um, give them the supports that they need academically, personally, also professionally. Even at the elementary school age, we can still get them, prepared for the opportunities that will be presented to them. So we will have, guest speakers and volunteers to come in and do projects with them, with the focus on STEM. We know that STEM is very important, and we also know that, Black girls are typically left out of that. So we want to have curriculum that includes the science and
Okay.
technology, engineering, math. So Anova Girls Academy is really there to foster that in our girls, and making sure that they have, all the opportunities afforded to them that they might not otherwise have. So we're excited to launch next year. We've been doing outreach and talking to parents and getting their insights, and We have interested families, so I'm excited to see, the future for Anova Girls Academy. I attended an all-girls high school, and for
Mhm.
me, I feel that my confidence level was very high because of that. I was in a room with other girls and not necessarily have that component of boys being there, maybe being embarrassed to answer questions or raise my hand, or
Mhm.
in competition for the attention of boys, and then pulling
Mhm.
away from my focus on academics. So I definitely um, appreciated the experience. I can't say that I appreciated it while I was there. But once I graduated, I realized, some of the, benefits of that opportunity, and seeing, women who were teaching chemistry and math,
Awesome.
and who were teaching, gym class, versus, those are typically male dominated, but I got to see women in those roles, and I got to see other girls in sports. I played softball, I played soccer,
Okay.
so it was just an opportunity to see that, my sex or my gender didn't make me lesser or inferior. So I'm really glad to see Anova would be starting that at an even younger age, because Nazareth Academy was a high school, but Anova will be elementary. So that's even better, because they'll be getting that, that confidence and that experience from a
Mhm.
very young age that will carry them through their adulthood.
Do y'all have a website for that? So I can put that in the
Yes,
description.
yes, let me pull that up actually. We do. I just gotta see. So yes, it's Anova Girls Academy.org. Anova is INNOVA. So that's Anova Girls Academy.org. So yeah, that board is, we are super excited about um, coming out the gate next year. The other board that I'm on, or one of the other boards, is the Rochester Black Authors Association. So of course, we highlight and celebrate Black authors, not only in Rochester, but really across the country and even internationally. So
Mhm.
we had I think it was our sixth annual Black Authors Expo. We had it in
Wow.
June. So I want to say there were about 2 dozen authors locally and across the country, Tennessee, Ohio. We've had some people from out of state
Huh?
this year as well. So basically, we're all in the space together. They're able to have their books at their tables and sell their books. We received a proclamation from the city of Rochester, just
Mhm.
acknowledging our efforts and what we're
Nice.
doing. We have had children's authors who, kids who've written their own books. So it's really an event where, again, we're just celebrating all the contributions of Black authors in the community and showing the diversity, that we don't only write urban fiction or we don't only read urban fiction, that we we
We
read
got
and
more
write
than that.
sci-fi and any genre. We do it all. So
Okay.
that's a part of our goal, is to make sure Black literacy is upheld and promoted and celebrated in our community.
Okay. Anything else? I'm gonna get
Uh,
every speed they drop to promote you out here now. Get you
right,
out. You
right.
know.
Right. Yeah. So if you are ready for the editing stage, you think you're ready for the editing stage, you can go to my website. It's love4words.com. I think, yeah, I see it down there. So you can fill out a consultation form. So to work with me, you would fill out the consultation form online. I'll ask you about your manuscript, the motivation to write it, how long it is, all those important components. And then we have a phone call and we'll talk more about that. And then I look at a sample edit. Or you send me a sample, I'll edit it and send it back to you. And then, you can let me know if this is what you're looking for, if you have any questions, and then we decide if we are a good fit and would like to work together. If we decide to, then, there's the contract and invoice, and then, the work begins. So that's just an overview of what the process looks like working with me. So yeah, if you think you're ready for that stage, feel free to contact me, or even if you just have questions, I do have a calendar that you can get on. It's calendly.com/CaTyra Polland. So we can hop on a free 15-minute call and talk a little bit about your editing needs. So yeah, so those are some of the ways that you can connect with me about your editing needs. You can also hop on my calendar if you think you need copywriting, so a professional bio, a media kit, language for your website, language for any documents you need created, worksheets, or company documents, things like that. You can also hop on my calendar if you want to talk about your copywriting needs. And then, like I said before, you can go on the website if you'd like to be a guest on the Editor Knows Best podcast as well. That will be under the media page. But yeah, that's what's going on with me.
Okay. Good job
Yeah.
there. What challenges have you faced?
Yes. So I would say one of the biggest challenges is making sure that my pricing continues to reflect my growth. So I feel like as business owners in general, but I think even more so with women, we under we undervalue and we undercharge. So I have to create a system where I'm consistently increasing my prices to account for what I'm accomplishing on the journey. So this year I was a speaker at Disrupt HR, which is, I believe it's an international um, it's like an international, I guess, for lack of a better word, conference. So you have to apply to be a speaker, and
Okay.
they'll either accept you or reject you. But I was selected. So even
Awesome.
something like that needs to be incorporated into when I'm charging my rates. I'm charging you this because, I've taken this class, I have this degree, I've spoken at this organization, this university has vetted me to teach this class. So for me, I just have to remind myself that the prices need to reflect that, and that I shouldn't still be charging the same thing I was charging when I started my business in 2017, because there's been lots of growth and accomplishment
Yeah.
and proof of success since 2017. So, and not only that, but we have inflation and we have
Yeah.
taxes and we have bills
Yeah.
to pay. So what I charge needs to, line up with, what I need to keep the business afloat, what I need to support the business myself, materials I have to buy. If I'm driving to meet a client, I need to, make sure that the gas is accounted for. If I
Yeah.
have to print out this 100-page manuscript, I have to make sure that the ink is accounted for, that the paper is accounted for. So for
Mm-hmm.
those of you who have businesses, I would say mostly women, make sure that you are making, I would say, a physical note, like really typing it or writing it, but also a mental note of all that goes into your business, so that when you send those invoices out, you don't get done with the project and feel like it wasn't worth it, or you feel overworked, or you feel drained because you've done 30 days worth of work and charged them for a week of work, when in
Yeah.
fact you should have charged them more. So that's one of the challenges that I, constantly have to work through, and making sure that I'm charging, my worth.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
what has been your impact on this journey?
Um, well, I mean, I believe that the impact is shown through the young woman who reached out to me and asked me, for an internship. That there are people who, are inspired by me, or people who feel encouraged by my story. So my impact is, I feel it's that encouragement for other people, that they know that they can, pursue their dreams and achieve their dreams. But I guess on the editing side, it's clients when their manuscripts are done, and I can go to their book signings and celebrate with them. When they get their proof in the mail, and they send me a picture of their book, or they're at their book signing, and people are purchasing their books, and they're signing away, and how happy and proud that they feel to be able to deliver a product that is a reflection of them, and to be able to be a part of that, and them say, CaTyra was my editor and she made my book better. So it's really about the, having a positive impact on my clients and those that I work with, and them feeling it was valuable and that the time that I spent and the money that they spent was worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I can say last year I had my first book fair with Detroit Book City in
Hmm.
December, and to have people come up and buy your
Hmm.
book, and even the
Hmm.
lady that was the main attraction, buy it, like,
Yeah.
wow,
Hmm.
this is a cool, everybody encouraging vibe. Now I'm a rookie,
Hmm.
so I have cards. I had to write no cards with my name.
Hmm.
All I knew to do was
Hmm.
sign the book.
Right.
That did attract people. Like, oh, he signed it. Like, hey, you gonna buy
Hmm.
my book? Sign and
Yeah.
date it. When I blow
Hmm.
up, I'll get you some money off
Hmm.
that book. Go get it.
Right. Right.
It's gonna
Yeah.
blow. It's gonna happen.
Hmm.
We'll get
Hmm.
paid twice. That's real cool. Authors, that whole author scene is real cool vibe. People
Hmm.
very helpful and all that good stuff. Try to go
Yeah.
back this year. All right, now, like I told you, I'm gonna hype you up, market you, everything I got to put you out here. Let them know
Hmm.
you awesome. I need that
Hmm.
last question.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for someone trying to find their purpose?
Yes, I would say to, um, make a note of what you enjoy and also keep track of what people come to you for. So if people always come to you to ask you advice on, their relationships, their romantic relationships, or people ask you about business advice, or people compliment you on your sense of fashion all the time, strangers, family members, people you do
Mhm.
and do not know, that's a pattern. That's something you should pay attention to. Things
Okay.
that come easy to you, what can you do easily that others struggle with? So it's really about taking the time to do a self inventory, whether you do a self assessment online, like an official one, or you just sit down and write down, a list of this is what I'm good at, this is what I like, this is what I'm often complimented on. Looking at that and seeing what opportunities exist for the three of those to mesh. Because if you can get all of those in one, either starting your own business, if you find a nonprofit that fits that pocket, a corporation, if you want to work, if you want to have a job, all of those elements are going to be important in making sure that you feel that you're fulfilled, because I'm sure we all know when you're in a position that's not for you, a situation that's not for you, um, isn't you'll know that, it'll be an instinct and you'll know, hey, this is not where I'm supposed to be. So it's really important for you to know yourself and be honest with yourself. You know Everybody has their own strengths and their own talents, so you just need to tap into your own and not necessarily compare yourself to other people. You have to do what works best for you, and oftentimes when you compare yourself, that's when you lose yourself because you're focused on somebody else or something else outside of you. So you really have to know who you are, be authentic, and figure out how you can mesh what you're good at, what you like, and what other people come to you for. I think those are the key components of figuring out what your journey should look like or what types of goals you should have in your life.
That's awesome advice right there. Figure it out and stay in your lane. Don't worry about people got to say. Just do yours.
Hmm.
You'll
Yeah.
get there. And
Hmm.
they hated on Jesus, so they're gonna hate on you at some point. But
Hmm.
just
Right.
motivate you.
Hmm. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
oh, I'm working on the book. Well, why don't you figure yours out? 'Cause I'm on my grind. Do yours.
Right. Right.
And keep it moving.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh, I never appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your journey. Help someone.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hope you
Thank
had a
you.
great time.
I
Oh, no,
did.
no
I
problem.
really appreciate it. Thank you so
I
much.
did that tagline where we treat you like family, cool, chill
Hmm.
environment, celebrate you. Because I need that last
Hmm.
question. I need you chill,
Hmm.
right mind, get that hard hitting Yoda knowledge to somebody.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
get out there and start doing it.
Yeah. Right, right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeffrey.
No problem. So I want to thank Copywriter, hostess of Editor Knows Best podcast, Developmental editor, CEO/editor-in-chief of Love for Words, speaker, author, CaTyra, Polland, MA.
Yes. You're welcome. And thank you.
I learned some stuff about you. Speaker, author. Okay. Update LinkedIn and let them know you out here doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you have a great weekend. Be safe.
You
have
too.
fun. Work
you
out.
too.
And everybody have a great weekend. Till next time.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye. Comment. Oh, thank you, Yolanda. Oh, got a comment go through real quick. Awesome. Well, great show, everybody. Be sure to check out my books, Musician Thought, Inspirational Series on Amazon, my album, JLE Experience, JLE World, and check out the podcast. I'm working on the website and merchandise coming soon. Y'all have a, something else said? Okay, gotcha. There we go. Y'all have a great weekend. Check out this amazing outro. 3, 1.